Hey guys, today we're looking back at some of your favorite relationship drama stories from last year. It sucks being cheated on, but imagine being cheated on with your own brother. Would you forgive him? My ex cheated on me with my brother, posted by a throwaway account. I, 27 female, was with my ex Anna, 26 female, for 3 years. She was my first partner after coming out. Since my family wasn't very accepting or supporting of my sexuality, I was very dependent on Anna, both as a friend and a partner. I loved Anna and was very serious about her. She was there for me and very loving and all, but we often fought about her not taking me and our relationship seriously. She said I was too attached and I felt she wasn't into a long-term commitment. She still met my family, and on our first night in my parents' house, confessed to me that she found my brother, James, 30 male, very hot. I found this hurtful, but Anna just brushed it off, saying it wasn't serious because she was gay, and I'm a human and I have eyes. Long story short, I caught Anna cheating on me with James. I fought with both of them, and after plenty of yelling and cursing, we broke up, and I told my parents that James was dead to me. My parents sort of supported me. I don't think they ever took my relationship with Anna seriously because I'm gay. And while they said they were sorry, they said they didn't really think it was all that heartbreaking. Anna started dating James after a few months, and most of my family just ignored the overlap. They honestly really liked Anna, and the fact that she was now with a man made it even easier for them to accept her. Once again, I don't think anyone really took my first real relationship seriously. I didn't know how to explain myself, so I just kept my distance from my family. All of this was about 2 years ago. 2 weeks ago, my mother called me to tell me that Anna was pregnant and that she and James were planning to get married and start a family. I'll admit, I was rude and said, "So? Are you kidding me? How was she expecting you to respond? Were you supposed to be excited? Happy for them? What the F is wrong with your family?" My mum got mad at me for being so dismissive and lectured me about the importance of family. I was ready to hang up, but I think my mum was on speaker because I heard James and Anna on their side too. Anna said she was sorry about our past, but truly hoped that I'd be excited to become an aunt. I kind of lost it and snapped at her. I said I didn't care one bit about her or her baby. I called her a cheating whore and hung up the phone. Since then, James has called me a B and told me to not show up anywhere near his family. Even my mum and some aunts have said I crossed the line. I've shared the details with a friend and she said I was in the wrong for the name calling and that I should get over Anna, implying that I'm only feeling like this because Anna was my first girlfriend and nothing else. No, it's because she cheated on you with your brother. What is wrong with everyone? I'm conflicted now. Am I overreacting? Am I being too harsh on Anna or my family? I haven't stopped feeling this rush of intense anger and hatred every time I see Anna happy and laughing with James. It feels more like cheating how she takes him so seriously and all, but just breezed past our relationship and ended it on a whim. Should I try to forgive her? How do I go about expressing myself to my family from here on? Down in the comments, Florinda Inc. says, OP, ask your mother, if family is so important, then why did James cheat on you with your girlfriend? James is the one that's showing he has no respect for you as part of the family. Remind your mother, if Anna is willing to cheat on you to be with James, then how does James know that Anna won't cheat on him as well? How does anyone know for sure that James is really the father of Anna's baby? OP responded and said, my mum insists it was fate. She reassured me that she spent long hours with James and Anna to make sure they were serious about each other and that they were very apologetic for what they did to me. She says in the last 2 years, Anna has become like a daughter to her and would love it if I could forgive and forget the past. I don't think Anna would cheat on James. She seems, at least from what I've observed, very devoted to him, sort of how I was with her. I'll admit, it hurts to watch her do things for him that she never did for me. I was hoping I could find a way to be closer to my family without being involved with Anna and James, but I don't think that will be happening. Is it bad that I kind of hope that James cheats on her so Anna knows how it feels? Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my girlfriend over a younger sister, posted by a throwaway account? I need some outside perspective on the situation. I broke up with my girlfriend, 27 female, 5 days ago due to her sister's behaviour, 24 female. Me and my ex have been dating for the last 2 years. During this time, her sister has come on to me multiple times. I'm not sure how many times, but it was almost every time I saw her. I told her sister multiple times to leave me alone and to stop her behaviour because I don't do the whole cheating thing. But that did nothing. I've spoken to my ex about it multiple times. She even caught her sister in the act of trying to lock me in a room with herself. Nothing changed. I even spoke to their parents about it, that the behaviour of the younger daughter is unacceptable. And again, nothing happened. Why is everyone seemingly okay with this? Who's fine with their sister hitting on their boyfriend? I'm not gonna lie and say the sister's ugly. No, she's actually really beautiful. But I'm 100% sure that I've not led her on or anything. Even when I greeted her, I gave her a side hug every single time. I've never been in a room alone with her or anything. I've just kept my distance from her at all costs. I don't have her on Insta, Facebook, and I don't even have a cell phone number. We've never shared a text or a phone call. Her family even gave me a stupid nickname, the puppy, because I follow my girlfriend around everywhere when I'm over at their house. The only reason I followed her is because her sister's behaviour seemed to stop when she was around. I told her that I'd stop going over to her parents' house because that's where the problem is, and I didn't want any part of it. She didn't like that idea and sulked around the house for weeks because I didn't want to go with her. At no point did I say she can't go, I just said I wasn't going to go with her. What the F? Does she want you to hook up with her sister or something? 5 days ago, I relented and went over to her parents' house. We had too much to drink and slept over that night. In the morning, I woke up with the sister completely naked in bed next to me. I stormed out of the room, down into the kitchen, and told her that we were done in front of her parents. She was silent for what seemed like forever, and then started to break down, asking why. All I said was, go look in that room, and I stormed out of the house and got into my car. It took less than 2 minutes, and then the calls started to come in. Not just from her, but her parents as well. I didn't answer any of the calls. When I got home, 40 minutes later, I had 108 missed calls from her and her parents, and 36 messages, 2 from her parents. The messages from her parents were just them apologising to me, saying they thought I was joking about the sister every time I brought it up, and they didn't believe me. All I got from my now ex was, sorry, she'll handle it. It will never happen again. I shouldn't leave. We can work through this. I'm just done. She's even gotten my family involved and our friend. 90% of them are on her side saying I'm overreacting and that I'm the a-hole for dumping her and that we can work through this. How is everyone on her side? She let her sister sexually harass you for years and even pressured you to go back there. That's it, I'm calling it. They're secretly part of a cult and they're trying to recruit you. It's the only thing that makes sense. Tell me I'm wrong. I sent her a message that she has until this Sunday to get her things out of my house. I'm just done. Surprisingly, she hasn't sugarcoated anything and explained everything correctly to everyone, but I'm still in the wrong for leaving her. Her parents in their messages are angry at me for hurting their daughter. My family's angry because they love her. And our friend is angry because I refuse to take her back and is saying that I'm overreacting. 2 years of this and I'm overreacting? Am I the a-hole? What about the creepy effing sister? Is no one angry at her? God, imagine if the genders were switched and OP was a girl being sexually harassed by her boyfriend's brother. Even woke up with him lying naked in bed with her one night. Yikes! My girlfriend is acting obsessed with this random family she just met. Posted by Ardnike. I figured I should ask for advice because this situation is really weird and I have no idea how to handle it. My girlfriend Maggie and I have been together for just 3 months, so our relationship is still very new. Things have been going well, aside from this problem. A few weeks ago, Maggie started a new job and quickly became friends with her new coworker, Joe. For the record, I have no problem with Maggie having male friends. I have female friends, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But Maggie and Joe seem unusually close after such a short amount of time. Like, Maggie was telling me that she was scoping out her coworkers to see who was all business and who she could joke around with. She said it was pretty easy though because Joe was telling her who was cool. But Maggie barely knows Joe, so why does she trust him so much? Maggie and Joe were hanging out so much outside of work that I actually did feel a little weird about it. I then found out that aside from work, they usually hang out with Joe's wife and kids, which made cheating unlikely, but it was still really weird. Most people don't have near strangers hanging out with their little kids that much. Maggie's been putting this family above her other friends. Like when she waited on RSVPing to a friend's party until she could nail down other plans with Joe and his family. The plans with Joe's family were very vague and hadn't been decided yet, but Maggie was willing to miss her friend's party if it was the only time Joe's family was available. I met them for the first time and it was very bizarre. Maggie isn't a big fan of kids, but she was all over Joe's kids. She got down on the floor and crawled around with the baby. The older kid was very shy and didn't seem that comfortable with me, but she got very excited when she saw Maggie and climbed into Maggie's lap. So Maggie's obviously been spending a lot of time with the family in the past few weeks. The older kid calls Maggie Auntie. Maggie once told me that she doesn't like babysitting and always tries to get out of it, but apparently she's babysat for them and she refused to take money for babysitting. This is just so out of character for her. They also made some weird jokes about Maggie coming to live in their basement, which was really weird in combination with everything else that's going on. Hopefully that was just a joke. For Thanksgiving, we decided to just celebrate with our own families because we haven't been together that long. Joe and his family weren't able to travel far to meet their own family, so Maggie invited them to her parents' house. That's very kind, but it was a couple hours away, and they all slept over, so it wasn't a casual trip. Some pictures were taken, including a posed one of Maggie and Joe's family, with the older kid hugging Maggie's shoulders. Maggie made a comment about how she was glad her chosen family could come to Thanksgiving. It was beyond bizarre because she barely knows these people. She's been in this new job just under 2 months and somehow become absorbed into this random family. This is so out of character. She told me once that she hates it when people she doesn't know well insist on hugging her, and how cheaply some people say I love you, but she's taking this up to 11. Maggie is fretting right now because the oldest kid's birthday is coming, and Maggie apparently needs to get that kid a birthday and Christmas present, and a Christmas gift for the baby too. The only gift I've ever gotten a coworker's kid is when they had a baby shower at work. I don't even know how to bring this up. I know her friendships aren't really my business, but this is so strange. It's making me uncomfortable. I feel like I have to say something, but I don't even know what to say. Maggie cheating on me with Joe would actually make more sense than this. Any advice? This isn't normal, right? Relevant comments. Honestly, this probably is her character, and not out of character like you say. You even said that you guys have only been dating for 3 months. 3 months is the first milestone to make a decision about moving the relationship forward or not. So you have a responsibility here to objectively assess your relationship. One thought that crossed my mind was that Joe's family would love her to live in their basement as a childcare provider, so they may be taking advantage of her for their own benefit. Your girlfriend may be trying to show off in front of you to show that she's lovable and respected by people. Many possibilities. I would advise you to cool down the relationship. Give her space to make decisions about her life and relationship. If she actively chooses to spend more and more time with Joe's family, you have your answer. 3 months is time to decide the future of a relationship, like I previously said. Good luck, and remind yourself of what you deserve in a girlfriend. Better than this. OP's reply. I just don't know. She said pretty clearly that she doesn't want kids, doesn't like them that much, and resents that as a young woman, people just assume that she likes kids and would like to babysit. Maybe she was lying and really does like kids, but I don't know why anyone would lie about that. Even if she liked babysitting, I don't have any reason to care about that. I don't think Maggie would ever consider being their permanent childcare provider. She's a professional with a full-time job that she really likes and went to school for years to be able to do, not a nanny or someone looking for work. I'm just so confused, and she won't even take money from them, so she can't make a living that way. They then ask, what are your ages? Usually 20s are for questioning beliefs. I also said I didn't want kids, blah blah blah, but now I do, and I love kids. So it wasn't a lie, I was just seeing what really felt right for me. If your relationship was serious, 3 months is the perfect time to meet each other's families, but you think it's too soon. However, you also feel like you know her pretty well? Have a sit-down conversation with her. OP's reply, we're almost 30, so not extremely young anymore. I could understand if this was a more gradual change with her feelings on kids, but she went from refusing to ever babysit and not liking kids at all, to a week later saying she loves these kids and will babysit for free, even suggesting it herself. And I think it's just these kids. She made a comment that might have been a joke, but I'm not sure, that Jo shouldn't tell anyone at work about the babysitting because other people would want Maggie to babysit their kids, and she doesn't want to. I'd understand more if there was a gradual change, like if she'd agreed to babysit once in an emergency and then realised that babysitting could be fun and was open to doing it again. But it seems like she's always volunteered and refused to take money for something that a few weeks ago she said she hated and would never do. This whole thing would be much less weird if it had taken place over a longer period of time and could allow for a change of heart, but she met these people a few weeks ago and is suddenly changing her behaviour. Our relationship is new, and even I've known her longer than she's known Jo. To each their own, but I wouldn't meet a girlfriend's family after 3 months, especially during a major holiday with extended family. Maggie agreed with that too, but it's off to me that she put so much importance on Jo's family coming. I've got 2 theories on this. 1. Maggie has a bad home life and is inserting herself into this family because it's the life she wishes she had. 2. Maggie's into Jo. I knew a girl who befriended a married couple just so that when things went bad, she could swoop in and take the husband. No one saw it coming, but it happened. It was like her master plan after 2 years of waiting. Another commenter adds, just found out on Saturday that my good friend of 4 years has had a thing for my husband for quite some time. According to her sister, who I don't know that well, my friend talks about my husband quite a bit, saying how sexy he is and how she wants to have sex with him. At least I found out before she caused any real drama. Good riddance. Someone else adds, do I need to be the one who says it? She's effing Jo. Someone else adds, you barely know her. Her behaviour sounds insane and troubling. This is a big red flag. You're wasting your time. You don't know her nearly as well as you think you do. 3 months and you're already on the internet and unhappy. Don't waste your next 3 months. Another person adds, this is effing weird. Maggie doesn't like kids, but she loves these kids and is buying them gifts, and they're calling her auntie? She puts her friends after this family. She invites them over, but not you because it's too soon? Is she kidding? How does Jo's wife act? Maybe they're swingers. I can't imagine she won't get sick of Maggie being creepy. To even invite them to her family's house to stay over reeks of weird. Odds are she'll get defensive. I'm tempted to tell you to hang in there just to see what happens, but you should probably exit and tell her why. Update. As a quick summary, I thought something weird was going on with my girlfriend Maggie, who became quickly and extremely close to her new coworker Jo and his wife Kate. After just a couple of weeks, she was trusting Jo with everything work-related, babysitting their children for free, buying them gifts, having the kids call her auntie, putting this family above her other friends, inviting them to her family Thanksgiving, and referring to them as her chosen family. I thought that either this whole thing was some kind of cover for an affair, or Maggie had attachment issues. I figured out what was going on. I feel like a huge idiot. I went to see Maggie to ask for an explanation and figured if I didn't like what I heard, I'd break up with her because either she was cheating or she had some sort of emotional issue I couldn't handle. I had the opportunity when I saw the gifts that Maggie had gotten for Joe and Kate's kids. It seems so strange for someone who doesn't really like kids that much to go so overboard for kids she just met. I asked Maggie why she gave these kids such special treatment, even though she doesn't really like kids that much. Maggie explained that she felt differently about these kids because she'd been around to watch them grow, and she was close to Joe and Kate. So the kids are more like family to her, which means she treats them differently to other kids. They're the exception to the rule. Maggie said she'd probably turn it down eventually, but since they were still so young, she wanted to get them something really nice for Christmas. I wasn't really sure what to say next because it seemed so irrational. But then, Maggie said that she used to exchange Christmas gifts with Joe and Kate too, but they'd all decided that it was too much trouble and unnecessary. So these days, she usually just bakes them something or gets them a nice bottle of wine. I realised I was missing something important. If Maggie's had other Christmases with Joe's family, she couldn't have just met them, like I thought. I thought perhaps that Maggie might have some emotional issues that made her attach herself to people she barely knew, but I didn't think Maggie was actually crazy enough to imagine that she knew them before. I didn't want to ask, so I acted normally until I left. When I got home, I went through Maggie's Facebook. She wasn't lying, and she's not crazy. I found a ton of pictures with Joe and Kate going back a decade. From what I can figure out, they all went to college together. Joe and Maggie were big brother and little sister in a co-ed frat sorority, and Maggie and Kate were roommates. I also found pictures of Maggie as a bridesmaid in Joe and Kate's wedding, and pictures of Maggie holding their newborn children, so they're obviously very close friends who've known each other for a very long time. All of Maggie's behaviour makes perfect sense now that I know all this. I think the whole thing is my fault. I have ADHD and I don't handle it well. I've had issues when people are talking to me for a while where I start to zone them out. I've been called out for this before. I think it's pretty likely that Maggie did tell me about Joe and Kate and I just wasn't listening. Maggie hasn't actually done anything wrong or creepy, so I think it's more likely that I wasn't listening when Maggie explained, instead of this being a trick. This was a pretty big wake-up call for me. I've been ignoring my problem because I didn't want to face the facts that it was serious, but I know I need to do something before I make any more mistakes. I'm going to start off by looking for a therapist. Relevant comments. Imagine an alternate universe where you just went, "So, how long have you guys known each other?" Did anyone else notice when she said she'd been around to watch the kids grow and was close to Joe and Kate, and OP just didn't question that? Dude really needs to start listening to his partner. My partner threw away my grandma's secret recipe, and I can't forgive her. Posted by a throwaway account. My partner and I have been living together for 3 years now, and everything's been great until recently. Sadly, my grandmother passed away a few years ago, and before she did, she gave me her family recipe book. This book was filled with the family's secret recipes that she trusted me with. I love cooking and absolutely loved my grandmother's meals, so this book means a lot to me. The other day, I was looking for a recipe in the book to make one of my grandmother's special meals, but to my surprise, the page with the recipe was gone. I searched everywhere and found out that my partner had thrown it away, thinking the recipe was wrong. She said she didn't know the recipe book was from my grandma and assumed it was just some old notebook or whatever. I was really upset she didn't ask before throwing away something that meant so much to me. It wasn't just a recipe, it was a piece of my family's history. I tried to explain how important it was, but she didn't care and said I could find another recipe online and that I'm overreacting. I'm struggling to move forward from this. Her being so dismissive of my feelings upsets me. I've never seen her behave this way before. How can I move past this? While you should always ask before throwing out someone else's stuff, mistakes happen. But, that being said, after finding out how sentimental and important it was to you, it's such a red flag that she still doesn't care. Edit. Thank you all for the comments. They were really helpful, especially since I'd started to think I was overreacting, so I appreciate the reassurance. She threw away a rum cake recipe. I have no idea why. She liked it when she tasted it, so the recipe wasn't wrong, as she claims. I'm so sad and confused. I don't understand why she'd want to hurt me like this. Everything was going well between us, and we haven't argued in weeks, so I'm not sure why she'd want to take revenge on me. Update. Since my last post, I talked to my partner about what happened. It turns out she threw away the recipe, not because she thought it was wrong, but because she was jealous of my cooking skills. At first, she denied any bad intentions and tried to downplay the importance of the recipe book. But as we talked more, she finally admitted feeling jealous and insecure. It was surprising because I've never seen this side of her before. She said she's always been a little insecure about her own cooking skills. I had no idea. She feels like I outshine her in the kitchen. Her words. Especially after receiving all of the compliments from her family last time we hung out. So, in a fit of jealousy, she decided to throw away the recipe, thinking it would somehow even the score. Needless to say, I was hurt and disappointed. I couldn't understand why she would let her jealousy get the best of her and intentionally hurt me. We've always supported and uplifted each other in our relationship, so this behaviour was completely out of character. She apologised and promised to work on her insecurities and jealousy, but honestly, I don't think I can forgive her and move on from this. Once again, I want to say thank you all for your support and advice. Am I the a-hole for choosing my budget over my boyfriend this Halloween? Posted by Trick or Treat. I need some perspective here. This whole thing is so out of control. I, 28 female, own my own house, and my boyfriend, 29 male, moved in January. We had a ton of early money arguments and agreed that we'd keep to a household budget. Also, he agreed to pay down his credit card debt. I have more flexibility in my personal spending than he does. Early after we moved in, my boyfriend told me that, as a kid, he always wanted to live in one of those houses that were totally decorated for trick or treat and handed out full-size candy. Here's where I messed up. I took this as a comment, not a plan. When the end of September came, we went to the Halloween store and he was under the impression we had savings for this. I didn't know. We go over the monthly budget together and it was never listed. When he found out there was no Halloween savings, we had an argument. Afterwards, I talked to some friends who all said he talked about trick or treat extensively and how much it meant. I chalked this up to a misunderstanding on my part, so I came up with $500 of my own money and went to him with an apology. He decided to buy one piece, an animatronic clown and some lights. It burnt through the $500, plus he put a little on his own credit card. He wanted another big piece and was mad that I wouldn't put it on my credit card. I asked if he wanted to put up some handmade decorations or spiderwebs, but he said it would look cheap. A few weeks later, we had a fight over candy. He's still stuck on buying full-size bars. We easily get over 250 trick-or-treaters, and I said, we just don't have that much money. So we got the bulk bags of good small bars. I also had these little colouring books for allergy and diabetic kids. Jump forward to Halloween. Early kids show up and he's letting them grab full handfuls. I remind him that we have a ton of trick-or-treaters coming, and he got really annoyed. I'd ordered a pizza for us, so I get it and go inside for about 10 minutes. By the time I came back out, the trick-or-treat bowls were empty. He'd been dumping a third of the bowl in each kid's bag and given out all the colouring books to whatever kids came along. He told me I'd have to run out and buy more candy on my credit card. I said I wasn't going to do that, and it wasn't my fault that he just handed out 20 pounds of candy. He started yelling right there in front of the kids, and I told him to come inside. He responded that he wasn't stopping trick-or-treating even if there was no candy. I told him to have fun with the clown and went inside. He came back in 15 minutes later, then demanded that I leave for the night so that he could clear his head. He argued it was fair because I'd already eaten and it was my fault the trick-or-treat was ruined because I'm cheap. I handed the rest of the pizza to him and refused. Yeah, isn't this your house? He left and went to a friend's house, and I guess they spent the rest of the night drinking, handing out trick-or-treat candy, and texting me how awful and cheap I am. Am I the a-hole? Down in the comments, OP gives a bit more context. A lot of the debt is understandable. He spent part of his childhood in foster care, and his parents kicked him out when he was 18, with basically nothing. He went into debt early to pay for his basic needs, and never really learned financial literacy. Only when I pointed it out did he start to pay more than the minimum on his debts, and start to work his way out of it. He had a really toxic childhood, and this is his first stable situation. Apparently trick-or-treat was a time where he got to see clean and stable homes, and he got more to eat out of that candy than he did at home. Having this big display was a sign for him that someone had made it. I didn't really understand how much it meant to him, but his friends are really on me about it. It's sweet that he wants to make these kids happy the way Trick-or-Treat did when he was a kid, but he should be doing it on his own dime, not yours. Someone asked, why are you with this guy? Does he pay anything resembling rent? Has he ever shown any signs of financial responsibility? Opie responded and said, he makes me laugh. And yeah, we had a fight over finances early on, and he's paid his half into the household fund every month, budget covering everything that's communal, mortgage, utilities, etc. I have my own money and he has his. We earn similar, but because he's working on his debt, he ends up having less personal money than I do. Then maybe he should learn from this, like doing Halloween the way he's always wanted to, as a celebration for paying off his debt and making it by saving for and paying for it on his own. That would be something to be actually proud of. Expecting someone else to pay for it and then throwing a hissy fit when they won't is kind of pathetic. Update. 3 months ago, basically the whole internet told me to break up with my boyfriend. 2 days ago, I finally did it. Everyone, and I do mean everyone online, basically said I was in the right and said some truly dire things about my relationship. I won't lie, there was so much anger towards him, I sort of shut down. I basically logged out and just decided to forget anything ever happened. We met the next day as he'd spent a few nights at the friend's house. I said that for things to continue, we need to do couples counselling, and I expected him to set the whole thing up. He was surprisingly open to this and said he would work on it, and that's where things started to unravel. Our mutual friends had been really in his corner, but I found out the story he'd told them was way off from the truth. In his version, I prevented any money for Halloween and had gone cheap on the trick-or-treat candy and was only handing it out to the children I liked. Once they heard my version, backed up with pictures and receipts, support went to me. In fact, his friends have been giving him a lot of ribbing about how he acted, which my now ex hates. In the meantime, he'd been working on getting us counselling, but found that getting therapy on his insurance meant months of long waiting lists, so instead, he came up with this couples coach who was religious. I'm not religious and wasn't thrilled by this, but figured it was better than nothing. Our first meeting was only 3 days after I posted. One funny thing that came up was that my ex immediately handed over the printout of the household budget and the coach praised it. But the coach thought my ex was the one who wrote it and that I was failing to follow it. So, what followed was this weird thing where my ex wanted all of the praise but also wanted the coach to badmouth the budget because my ex hates it. It took the better part of the first session to explain to him the actual situation, and the coach was weird about the fact that it was a woman in the relationship dictating the money, even though he liked the budget itself. The next day, one of our friends found the Reddit post and sent it to my ex. All hell broke loose, with him saying that I betrayed his trust. Our next couple of coaching sessions were all about that, and honestly, I felt terrible for airing his dirty laundry. The coach and my ex ganged up on me a ton for publicly humiliating him. Obviously, I'm updating, so I don't care about embarrassing my ex anymore. He has this username, so he'll probably read it. Whatever. One thing about the coaching that was seemingly positive at first was the coach pointed out that my ex never had the ability to have holiday traditions because of his upbringing. I genuinely felt bad about this, and rolling into Christmas, I made a huge attempt to incorporate him into my family's traditions and to ask if there was anything he wanted to do. He responded by mocking my family's traditions, and his only contribution was to ask for something really extravagant that would have costed a fortune. I swear he only did this just to badmouth me when I said no. This was all on top of our twice-a-week visits to the couples coach, who I increasingly hated. He would go through super religious prayers and had an issue with us living together before marriage. Neither my ex or I agreed with this, but my ex would get super into it whenever the coach would talk about misogynistic men as head of the household stuff. When I said I wanted to move to a regular therapist, my ex said I was undermining his work getting us help. There's a dozen little things that happen in there where I should have broken up, but last week was the final straw. Ever since my ex found the post I made on Reddit, he's been obsessed with going through my phone. Because of my career, I wouldn't let him. I have a lot of emails on my phone that has sensitive information in regards to work. I made a compromise that he could ask who I was texting, etc., and I'd show him at any point. This wasn't good enough. I don't know how he got into my phone, but he went through it fully and started raging that I was keeping things from him, but none of it had anything to do with him. Like, I had a group chat where we were planning a wedding shower for a friend. He's only met this friend in passing. He knew I was helping plan it, but was mad that I hadn't let him know every little detail. Specifically, that was surprising the bride by flying in her aunt, who she rarely sees. I wasn't contributing to this financially, I just knew about it. And somehow, my not telling him that specific little thing was keeping secrets? We were still fighting over this when we went to a party with friends. Apparently, digging through my old chats, he had found where my friend had talked to me in confidence about a tragedy she went through. Only her husband and sisters were really in the know. My ex was drunk and started talking loudly about this to her, with her husband right there. Her husband told him to shut up, and my ex basically got all superior about knowing things and there not being any secrets. It was very close to being a fight. And he was mad at you for airing his dirty laundry through an anonymous Reddit post. What a hypocrite! After that, I told him not to come back to my house, and he seemed really shocked that we broke up. I'm still numb about all of this, but yeah, him, never again. Update 2. It ended the way it began, with an animatronic clown. So, some details since my last post. It's become evident he picked the life coach he did because their website shows some really misogynistic views. It seems he was hoping they would back him up on controlling me. Now I'm in real therapy, don't worry. Secondly, my friend has made up with me for the whole debacle of him reading our old conversations. She's been helping me a lot and has read through these posts and has given me permission to say the secret he outed was that she had a miscarriage. Now, on to the latest. My ex finally came by to pick up his stuff about a week ago. He's hemmed and hawed about this now since he's left. Initially, he only took the bare essentials and dragged his feet. I think he thought I'd take him back. Finally, he shows up with a friend to get his stuff. Every single thing he pulls out of the house, he's snidely telling me I'll miss it. But before he moved in, I had a fully furnished house, and his contributions were either things that he only uses or stuff that I had duplicates of. Except for the clown. When that finally came up, he was angry. He said that now he was living out of a friend's bedroom and doesn't have room to either store it or display it at Halloween. So, he wanted me to pay him back for it. I pointed out that I'd paid for it in the first place. He has this whole alternate scenario where I'd given him the money to buy it as a gift. Therefore, it was his money and I had to repay him. An argument broke out and he stormed out with his stuff and left the clown. I sold it for $200 and look forward to visiting it in a proper long-term Halloween setup. Down in the comments, It's Not Spicy says, "You gifted me $500 to buy something. Therefore, that money was mine. Now you owe me another $500 to buy it back because I don't want it anymore." What kind of convoluted, delusional, manipulative, entitled BS thought process is that? It's mind-boggling. This guy might be greedy, but at least he's not trying to get OP to sign over her house to him, like the guy in the next video did. Click here to see that, and thanks for watching.